Alright, this is the completion of the scaling of our cube. What we've done is made a few corrections, making sure there's a label that goes with each of these sliders that they update. And we've added this slider at the top. This is going to be our scaling slider. I've had a label right next to him, so let's look at the slider first and then we'll look at the label. The slider is, in its properties over here, is set to have minimum of 1, maximum of 500. This is going to represent the percent of scaling. Because I can only have integers here, I have 1, it's going to represent 1% scales. And the initial value is going to be 100. And the initial display is going to show 100 with the number percent next to it. And where did that go? It's going to have a oh, that's on the label. The label is going to have initial value displayed of 100 with the percent symbol. And anytime I move that slider, I'm going to be updating the text of JLabel scale. So his name is JLabel scale. I changed his name there. And in the slider, I changed his name to JSlider scale. Now I'm going to go to the event and go to the event mouse dragged and click on the ellipsis. No, click on that guy and it'll create my mouse dragged event handler. And in there, first thing I'm going to do is display the scaling on the JLabel scale. Letting the autocomplete help me. It's taking a while. That's weird that I saw it before. Well, I know that's his name. JLabel scale dot, oh, it's a uppercase L. JLabel scale dot set text be the value of this label, which is this dot JSlider scale dot dot get value with a percent symbol after it. So that's the scaling percent that I intend to use. And now to actually make the change happen and display, I want to tell my cube paint3D, copy paste, that its dot scale x is equal to, oh, get value is a method, forgot to put the parentheses in there. And since I'm going to be using this multiple times, I'm going to store this in a variable. So I'm going to do double sc equals get get slider scale dot get value times 0.01. Now I can use that scale factor right here rather than getting the value from my slider, and my scale x is going to be, actually, since scale has been scaled down, I want to display its percent, and setting all my values of my scale in my cube to be the same. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it. And change my X, Y, and Z scaling are all going to be the same. But I have allowed my polygon to have a separate Control-Shift-F. Oh, not that. Alt-Shift-F. There we go. Formatting my code nicely. Alt-Shift-F after selecting it. So this should tell my cube, oh, you've got a new scale. The only thing left to do is, just like I've been doing before, is tell my window, oh, it's time to repaint. Something has changed. So go ahead and repaint. And, oh, I should probably put that if around it, just in case they grab the slider before I actually have a cube to work with. I'm going to put this around it to make sure I don't try to do this unless I actually have a cube there. So I'm going to surround this with the if I don't have a null cube. If my cube hasn't changed, I don't have to worry about repainting anything. So I'm putting all this inside of the if. Don't do this unless you have an actual cube there on the screen. So this will cause the scale factor values to change. But there's one thing I haven't done yet is actually cause the scale to happen when I'm painting. So this just tells my polygon, hey, by the way, you have, oh, I better change that to Z. You have a new scale XYZ. Now, when you go paint, that's where the scale actually gets applied. And guess where we apply scaling? Same place where we applied rotation. Here's my rotate a point. Scaling a point is much easier. I'm doing it just like I did the rotate. I'm going to do public. I'm going to return a new point with the new values. Point. Actually, did I start a scaling before? Let me check. I want to make sure. There it is. Oh, so it's already done. Look at that. This just modifies an existing point. It doesn't return a new point. I forgot we had started this. We are applying a scaling to a given point. So it's not exactly like rotation. Rotation was producing a new point, rotated, where scaling takes a point and simply says, okay, I'll scale the point object when I call its scale factor. And here is the scale factors required. It applies those scale factors to a point, basically by multiplying by the scale factor given. So now, going back to our paint program, or paint in our J panel, on our drawing panel, where we do our painting, right here, I rotate my point. So let's go ahead and take that point, and after we've rotated it, let's also apply scaling. Also apply scaling by just doing P0. Oh, sorry. Apply the scaling after I've rotated him. Oh, look at that! I already have the call to the scale right here. So I've already done the rotate, apply the scaling. Here, for every point, I rotate it and apply scaling. And so then, by the time I'm done with my loop, all the points should have scaling applied to them, and they should be drawn properly. So I think all this code should work. Let's find out. Run. Let's produce the cube. There's my cube. Let's rotate. Make sure I haven't broken rotate. I do see my label being correct. The correct label is being updated as I adjust that. Now comes the moment of truth. Look at that. I'm scaling it up and down. Up to 500%, down to 1%. Problems with yours? All right. We'll pause this and go help Nathan. Okay, so at this point, oh, it's bugging me. This, when I resize it, it's not resizing right, but I can mess with how my things are anchored against the edge of the window. But we have it rotating and scaling, and The only thing left for you to do is, at least as you've been writing your code, there should be comments along the way. And at the very top of each of your source files, put your header comments, your author information. What I would do is make one template and then copy paste it to the top of every one of your files and just adjust the description of each one, because this is the point class. Put at the top of there describing your point classes. And you can change these comments to be something meaningful, because this code is, you might find actually, if you go review stuff you've done, if you're anything like me, in a year or even less, you'll remember, oh, I did some graphics. How did I do all that? And remember, you're describing it not only to some student learning new code, if they share this, if we share this with them to say, here's a cool graphics program. You yourself will be reading this, saying, well, yeah, what was I doing there? And you'll realize, hey, I wish I'd put more comments here because I don't remember where this formula came from. Oh, look, I have the website. I can go read that. So save comments in everyone, and then remember to send it to me. You come up here to your project. You can right-click or just File. Under File, there you can do a File, Export the project. And that's where you can send it to a zip file. So File, after you have it selected on your project, File, Export, and that's the zip file. And let's just check the options here for exporting. Yeah, it just simply exports your file. This, for some reason, it wants to put it in some local temp location. So make sure you browse to a Downloads or Documents folder. Otherwise, you'll have a hard time finding this app data local temp. So it's a crazy place to default, but that's the way it looks like NetBeans is working. Okay, so put it in the comments, zip it up, and then you are ready for submission. So I'm going to stop there for now because we're going to be starting our next topic.